Yeah, I'm going to take you through the journey of the Grasslands program, the achievements so far, and some of the lessons learned, what we've learned since 2008. The program was officially launched in 2008, and it will be coming to an end in March next year, 2012, but we will continue with the program as part of our, we've got working on a sustainability plan, and we will continue the program, but the JAF funding will be coming to an end next year in March. So that's just an overview. The program is basically, we are working, you know, we have how many are there? 9 or 10 biomes, South Africa, but we are specifically working in the grassland biome, which covers 30% of SA's land surface. The approach that was used towards implementation, this was done the early days of 2004, 2005. I think it was led by Matthew or Roger, just saw Matthew here. The approach was simply that they were using the systematic conservation planning, whereby we identify our critical biodiversity areas, and then the principle was that we need to know what is it that we need to conserve, where are those ecosystems that we want to conserve, the threatened ecosystems, and what's the area size that we need to conserve, and the location of those, and the kind of like the ownership of those the ecosystems that we'd like to conserve, and how should it be managed. This is where the grasslands programs come into being, in terms of the practicality of the practical implementations of how we want to take our management forward. And some of the early findings of from the studies that were done in 2004, 2005 was that the biome is under significant threat, and most of those threats are from these major land uses that we see there: forestry, agriculture, urbanizations, and coal mining. And another thing that was quite shocking is that only 2% was formally conserved, and that the production activities are the ones that constitute the main pressure to the grassland biome. So from those studies that we've all consolidated, what came out of that was the conservation strategy. A 20-year conservation strategy was developed, and that's what led to the grasslands program. We got 5-year funding from the GEF to do our work on mainstreaming. Remember those land uses that I've mentioned, that for us to work to try to secure these critical biodiversity areas, we need to work with those production sectors, and that's where we took this approach of mainstreaming. And the way it was designed in the early years was that we'll do a phased approach to achieving our targets. So we will do the 5 years and take lessons learned from our first 5 years into the next 5 years. Even if it's not be funded by the GEF, it's either Sunbit coordinate the next 5 years, or our partners take the next 5 years with the lessons that we've learned. So we took that phased approach, and it was simply about mainstreaming our objectives into production sectors, and through stakeholder consultation engagements, a number of interventions were identified that for us to take our conservation strategy forward, what we need to do is partnerships. We need to work on our policy interventions, develop biodiversity tools that will help us in terms of managing the biome. And another thing was the biodiversity stewardship, which works very well in the Western Cape, that will take this forward. And if possible, because we'll be working with industries, if we'll do some develop industry-approved guidelines and standards. So these are some of the achievements so far. What we've developed, we've managed to develop science-based land use planning and decision support tools. These are the number I just mentioned. There's a whole lot of tools that we've developed. The issues that are they being used, who's using them, but these are just some of the conservation planning tools, biodiversity screening tools. These are tools that we've developed with the forestry companies to manage the biodiversity there and on unplanted, on their unplanted land. And from the urban component as well, we developed a number of tools, a number of guidelines, the lifestyle estate guideline. We are working on what we call the biodiversity offset in Gauteng, and some of the tools that we've developed, the Gauteng bioregional plans. We are working now on developing the national ecosystem guidelines and mining and biodiversity guidelines. These are science-based land use planning. These are science-based tools that we're trying to get this into the forestry. Just that the presentation is to be, I could go one by one in terms of what are these tools about, but during lunchtime you can ask me about this and a whole lot more of the tools that we've developed. And this is just an example of from the forestry component, which is led by Stephen Germeisen. He's with Forestry South Africa. He's the forestry coordinator there. We've managed to develop this biodiversity screening tool, which is, it assists us with planning of plantation estate and management of open areas. What the tool does, it helps to prescreen areas of potential conflict between forestry development and biodiversity. We've used this in the Eastern Cape. Our partner there, as Gisa, I think it's now disbanded, they used this in the Mkambati area where they were able to prescreen those areas of where we can locate forestry development and which areas are important for biodiversity. And we've made some progress as well to secure, in terms of the critical biodiversity areas that we have identified. We've managed to secure 25,000 hectares now in agriculture and forestry landscape. These areas have been in the forestry companies there, I think is Mondi. Here in KwaZulu-Natal, there are some areas that we've identified as nature reserve and through biodiversity stewardship, and also in the Lunabek vacancy room there, we've got some hectares there, thousands of hectares that we've secured, and those are in the sectors that we've secured there. They're owned by the farmers in the Lunabek vacancy room area there. And we are also, we didn't stop there. We got even more hectares that we are trying to secure in other areas. In the urban areas there, our urban coordinator Buduma Naga there as well. She was working with the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Then they have 20,000 hectares that were submitted to MEC for signatures. They're already being out in the newspapers. So there's some progress there, and we are making even more progress in our agricultural landscape. We've already got mentioned, we've already secured there over 20,000 in the vacancy from Lunabek, and a furthermore 1,000 hectares have been submitted to MTPA for signatures, and that project is led by our partner WWF, Brent Corcoran and Angus Benz there. The same thing, the forestry sector. Land use practices piloted. We've also made some inroads there in agricultural landscape. We are working with our farmers there. They've developed something that we call, these are best management practices, where farmers are looking for, these are in areas that, in addition to the ones that we've formally secured, these are areas around the ones that we've secured where we've developed these best management practices. We've got farmers going to training on field management in Mpumalanga. This is mostly in Mpumalanga, and we have 250,000 hectares of forest land under better management. By this I mean these are the tools that we've developed. Forestry companies now, over 250,000 hectares of that, they are using those tools to manage their area. So to manage the corridors, to identify sensitive areas, it's all of that. And we also have the grassland management guidelines adopted by this company, the CT company. And there's a whole lot more of the pilots that we have. And yes, you can talk about that. Go to our website and see what we actually piloted on the ground. And capacity building. This is also one of the part of sustainability, that with what we are doing, at least we'll be able to leave something for capacity to capacitate our institutions, our partners that we're working with, and the foresters have been trained on those tools that I've mentioned. We got ongoing field management training with farmers in Mpumalanga, the farmer associations. We got learning exchanges that's going on between land reform beneficiaries. Ongoing training of the Department of, remember we introduced so many tools to this institution, so we do those ongoing training. What have we learned since 2008? In terms of, so I'll go through those, but the interventions that I've mentioned. On partnership, what is important there is that champions within partner organizations are very important. We were very lucky, like especially because we could compare like MTPA and KZN Wildlife. With KZN Wildlife, there was a champion already on biodiversity stewardship, Mr. McCain, who has since left KZN Wildlife, was a champion and managed to, most of the work that we're doing on biodiversity stewardship, the progress that we've made is because of him, because he was really a champion on that, and now we have Craig Martindale who has taken that over as well. So it's very important to do that. And another thing that we've learned is that we need to profile these partnerships, because, and it's also part of the making the case I was talking about. Let's profile the champions, let's profile the partnerships that we have. This is something that our learning network coordinator will start working on, because we were not really doing this thing of profiling our gains. So we're going to do a lot more of this. There's co-financing, partnership ensures sustainability, and the working on existing initiatives. That's also important, because especially with the actors that we've secured, like in Mpumalanga and KZN, we've managed to secure that because WWF already was on the ground. So we just have to work on, it was an existing project, what we have to supplement in terms of, financially, and provide more capacity to get the job done. The same thing we did in KZN Wildlife. They were already working on stewardship, so we provided Becca, can't remember his name. There was a guy called Becca, but has since left. Yeah. Biodiversity mainstreaming tools. What is important here as well, we need to identify the needs of the users. Rather start that way than just have develop tools like the mistake we did with in the urban component. There was just so many tools that we developed for the urban component, and we are not sure anymore if are they going to use all of those tools. So rather identify the needs of the users. It starts like that, and engage the users of those tools from the beginnings, rather than have a consultant develop tools and go there and do consultation. Do engagement, not consultations. And the sector-based tools are even more efficient. We have tools for the forestry. We have tools, not just one tool that will work across the sectors. So we've took the sector-based, and it really works so well. You need more time to do this, to do development of these tools, and because you need to also, it's not about developing the tools, but to invest in capacity. Stewardship. This worked well for us, and it's become a very effective strategy for biodiversity mainstreaming in the production sectors. As you have seen there, is for us it was like is the only way we can secure these critical biodiversity areas, and it has become the most low risk, high value for money means of protected area expansion in South Africa. That's one example there that was taken from that figure was taken from the SunParks annual report, and we got that figure from the biodiversity conservation. We got that figure from the provincial conservation agencies in South Africa. 75,000 already secured through biodiversity stewardship at a zero, because we don't need land purchase with biodiversity stewardship. So it really worked so well for us, but we need operational costs. That's what we need for the conservation, the provincial conservation agencies. If they are provided operational costs and more capacity, they can do the work with no land acquisition required. And another thing that we've learned there, because it's very cost effective, what we are doing now with Sunby, we are developing something called stewardship, biodiversity stewardship business case. This is where we are working with the Department of Environmental Affairs there to develop the business case, and the department are the ones who are going to take this. We're hoping the one who's going to take this to treasury. So to engage, to strengthen incentives, not only incentives, but provide more funding to our conservation agencies. So what now? We've got achievements, we've got lessons learned. We want to take this now to scale. What we did now is our policy level interventions. We've appointed our policy advisor, Mark Botha, to take all this, to take some of these lessons, the ones that are relevant to go on a national level. And this is what he has to do now, to take these gains, all of this, because this will ensure sustainability. Because if you look at, like the departments, they keep on changing and restructuring, but if we have these lessons, some of these lessons, we take them on a national level, on policy level, that will work so well for us. That will be major gains. And the sustainability plan, we are working on that. We've been working on that with our partners from last year. We've been engaging with our partners since 2011. And as I said, the program will come to an end in March 2012. But we got with an extension up to December March 2013. With an extension to December 2013, we will that will make sure that our partners, they take over some of the work that there are so many gains, and to lose this will be a waste. We are hoping that our partners will continue with the work of the grasslands program. And another thing that we are working on now is to walk the Making the Case talk that I've told you that now we are going to do Making the Case. Our work now will be, that's like our focus of the next 5 years will be more on job creation, rural development. That's what we want to, because that's the language that we want to speak, that language, the political language. Also not forgetting our own scientific language, but that's the way to do it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mahlodi. And you did that within 2 minutes of your time. Are there any questions? No questions. So you spoke so well. No one wants to ask you anything.
Okay, we'll speak next time.
Okay.